Hello everyone, and today we are back for another Loomian Legacy Top 5 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 good Loomians that I'm not very good at using. So these are the Loomians that are considered to be very good, but when I use them, I often struggle to get KOs with them. So, with that out of the way, let's head right onto this list. So, number 5 onto this list is going to be Morfizu. Morfizu is one of the best fossil Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy, and it did make the top 3 on my list on the top 12 fossils in all of Loomian Legacy. But I often struggle at using it. I know this thing's potential. It has 150 ranged attack, really good range bulk for an offensive Loomian, and it has a pretty good speed stat of 85. And Pure Air is a pretty good defensive typing because you only have 2 weaknesses. The problem with Morfizu is that metal types do often wall Morfizu, and it isn't as devastating compared to like Glissadia. This Loomian hits hard, but not that hard, mainly because it doesn't have as much of a boosting ability compared to Glissadia. Not to mention that it does have Peace of Mind and Hypnotize, and I'm very unlucky when using Hypnotize. I used this thing in my All Fossils video, and I missed Hypnotize twice in a row. Like, this thing is a very good Loomian. I know this thing is good, but I have never been able to use Morfizu up to its fullest potential. And it could be because I'm using Pure Nimble and not Pure Smart, but even then, I think running Nimble's better for certain matchups. So yeah, Morfizu is number 5 on the list. That doesn't mean it's a bad Loomian. It still does pretty well for me, but I can never put it into its fullest potential. And that's why Morfizu is on the list. Number 4 onto this list is going to be Harvesect. Harvesect is one of the hardest Loomians to use in all of Loomian Legacy, mainly just because of how unique Harvesect is. It uses its energy, or its health, as its energy, meaning you have no energy, you use your HP. So you gotta be very careful with Harvesect. You need to keep your Harvesect alive if you want to use it, because if you put your Harvesect down to 10 HP, it will flail and not do a lot of damage. The thing that is good with Harvesect is that it is very bulky, has good melee bulk, has decent range bulk, and a good health stat, meaning it can actually use a lot of moves. And its defensive typing is also pretty good as well, but it does have a lot of weaknesses, meaning it's not able to live multiple super effective hits. And once that Harvesect is down in HP, it's not very easy to use it for the rest of the battle. If it gets below 10 HP, it's dead. So you're kind of forced to run Health Amulet on this thing if you want to use multiple moves. Not to mention that Harvesect is also weak to hazards. But the reason why it is number 4 and not higher is because I found a lot of success of using this with hazard setting teams and using Driving Force, because that is Harvesect's biggest strength, putting pressure on the opposing Loomians because Harvesect is a spirit type and can't get forced out, making Harvesect pretty good. But even then, it's still number 4 on this list. Number 3 onto this list is going to be Cosmere Unleashed. Cosmere Unleashed is one of the most overpowered Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. With the Seargate ability, you could take so many different abilities. You could take Appetite, you could take Specialization, you could take Total Eclipse, you could take Ace, Rev Up, Boast, Awakening. There are so many different abilities you could steal with Lantern or Cosmere Unleashed that it's one of the most overpowered Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. But I never used Cosmere Unleashed as destructively compared to other people. The most I ever get out of a Cosmere Unleashed is getting 2 KOs, and that's kind of it. And this is with Specmure and Appetite More, 2 of the most broken Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. It could just be because of bad matchups and bringing it in on the wrong time, but I'm never able to get that full out sweep with Cosmere Unleashed, when I have gone against other people using it, and they pretty much sweep me with it. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm using wrong. I don't know if I have the wrong TP spread. I don't know if Brawny's better. Like, that's the thing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with Cosmere, but I never tend to put Cosmere Unleashed into its fullest potential. And that's why I added it on the list, despite being a very overpowered Loomian, because this thing is a top 10 Loomian. Number 2 onto this list is going to be Jala. Everyone knows that Jala is going to be on this list. It's one of the most overpowered Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. It's a range tank that's fast, and also bulky, while also hitting pretty hard. This is a Loomian that has pretty much a bit of everything. And if you use the Enchanted Coat ability with a Rageful plushie, you're able to get the +2 ranged attack and hit really hard. Not to mention Luster Loot to gain your HP back, which makes Jalusa a devastating sweeper against certain teams. But every time I have used Jalusa, the most I've ever gotten out of Jalusa is getting 1 KO and then getting revenge killed. Which, that is probably Jalusa's biggest weakness, is getting revenge killed by something faster than it. And while there aren't many Loomians that are that much faster, the thing is that I always tend to get revenge killed by a Jalusa. Maybe it's just me not taking out the revenge killer, but Jalusa has a good defensive typing. It has the same typing as Luminani. Sometimes I have to swap it into a Tyranix, set up, and do damage to it. The problem is that I get very low against it, and then I get revenge killed. Sometimes I'm forced to bring it in just to save my own bacon, so I'm never able to get the full-out sweep with Jalusa, while other people are able to fully sweep me with it. And that's why I put Jalusa on the list. I used to consider it not a very good Loomian, but after facing it more, it's most certainly a very powerful Loomian. Honorable mentions on this list, and honorable mention number 1 is Joltooth. Joltooth is a very powerful Loomian, and I don't struggle to use it that much. It's mainly trying to use Ambush and Drudge, because it's a 50-50 that's very hard to predict sometimes. And sometimes I do get the 50-50 wrong. Like in this situation, I could have KO'd an Oda Yaga, but I clicked the Drudge, but it still worked out at the end. It's a pretty difficult Loomian to use if you're not ready for it, but overall, it's not that hard. You click Drudge or you attack. That's all that Joltooth can really do. Honorable mention number 2 is Bane of Haste Filoforge. And not just Bane of Haste Filoforge, any Loomian under Bane of Haste. I always struggle with Bane of Haste. I use Soulburst Icicle. I use another Bane of Haste setter. And I support the Bane of Haste team with other Loomians. And I'm never able to use Bane of Haste. I suck with Bane of Haste. Bane of Haste stinks. It's inconsistent. I'm never using Bane of Haste again because I hate it. And that's why Bane of Haste is on the list. The number 1 Loomian on this list is Thawmin. I know Thawmin might not be as good compared to other Loomians on the list, but Thawmin is one of the most dangerous late game cleaners in all of Loomian Legacy. Because when it's above half health, it has Mind type priority, meaning that it's always going first. It can't get priority because it's going to outspeed. And this Loomian does have a pretty fast speed stat as well. The thing that makes Thawmin very dangerous, though, is that it hits pretty hard, but not that hard. Its ranged attack is very deceiving. It only has 108 ranged attack. You're forced to run very smart. Not to mention that you have to chip the opposing Loomians a lot in order to get the full-out sweep with Thawmin. And that's Thawmin's problem. You want to keep Foresight on Thawmin, because if you lose that Foresight, this Loomian is done. And you're losing a team slot on your team just keeping your Thawmin alive, making it so you're always having a 4v5 until you bring Thawmin on the field. And while that, in some situations, that's worth the team slot. In other situations, I struggle bringing Thawmin in, I take a neutral hit, go down to half health, and my Thawmin is dead. While other people are able to set up a peace of mind and have Thawmin destroy me. And that's why Thawmin is the number 1 Loomian on this list. And here it is, Thawmin, the number 1 Loomian. It's a good Loomian that I struggle to use. What are some Loomians that are pretty good that y'all struggle to use? Please tell me in the comments below, and hopefully I get better at using these Loomians in the future. So yeah, that will be the end of this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!